Welcome to Willow Glen in Motion. My name is Kevin Swanson, and I'll be your host. Willow Glen is known to be personal, friendly, and different. It is known to be dog-friendly and family-oriented. In our last show, we covered the pets in Willow Glen. In this show and the next, we will cover some of the reasons Willow Glen is considered a great place to raise a family. In this show, we focus on being a kid in Willow Glen. The point in our lives when our parents were still right. Everyone was your friend. Life was about the simple things. Reality was only limited to your imagination, and the core of who we are and how we look was formed. It was the elementary school years. This was a time that we all shared growing up. Our kids, us, our parents, and our grandparents here in Willow Glen. So let's start with what being a kid was like for those of us whose elementary school experience lies in the past.
Welcome to the 1872 Santa Ana Schoolhouse. My name is Jim Zetterquist, and I'm president of the California Pioneers of Santa Clara County. I have Joan Bohnett joining me here today. She's a local historian, fourth generation Willow Glenite, and retired school teacher. Welcome, Joan.
Hi, Jim.
We're out here for a unique experience to see what it was like to attend an elementary school in the 1800s. As we look at some of these artifacts, we realize that the more that things change, the more they stay the same. As we look at what today's students use, a laptop desk, or a laptop computer in an attempt to be a paperless society, we can see 100 years ago they were a paperless society when they used their slate boards and their to save on paper. We also can see a lunch pail box from the 1870s. It really isn't all that different than a lunch pail that was purchased at Powell's on Lincoln Avenue today. We see our school books, and unfortunately we see something that is continued on is the practice of graffiti as we look at the carvings on the doodlings and carvings on the top of the desk and inside one of an 1880s book. We'd like to go over the timeline of Willow Glen's first school, Willow Glen Elementary School, which was built in 1863. Joan, shall we take a look at this timeline?
Absolutely.
It's impossible to talk about Willow Glen Elementary School and education in Willow Glen without speaking about the Cottle family, who came to Willow Glen in the early 1850s. In 1863, Brother Royal donated land to build Willow Glen Elementary School's first school. In 1895, Royal Cottle's sons petitioned to have Cottle Avenue named after the family, which we know 50 years or so later is the location of where they built Edwin Markham, or now Willow Glen Middle School, and Willow Glen High School. As we move forward, we go to 1897 to the Corners, when the 1863 schoolhouse, which was located on Lincoln and Malone, is moved or rebuilt. A new school is built at the site on the southwest corner of Lincoln and Minnesota.
But before that, just to its north, there was a prairie-style four-room schoolhouse built and designed by Frank Wolf. And then the 1897 schoolhouse was torn down, and the 1924 two-story Spanish schoolhouse was built, which existed until 1971, and which I had the privilege of attending, as did my father. In 1936, the city of Willow Glen was annexed into San Jose, one of the reasons being that they needed a high school and didn't have the money to build one. I recall in 1947, when I started kindergarten, we attended in a building that was like an old Victorian, divided in half so that there were two classrooms. And before that year was finished, the new 1948 kindergarten building came into being.
So we go forward to 1950, things changed quite a bit at that time. Joan, can you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, finally, after all the years of talking about it, a junior high and high school were built on Cottle Avenue and opened, and so the 7th and 8th graders no longer went to Willow Glen Elementary, but went to what was then called Edward Markham Junior High for 3 years, and then for the final 3 years of high school to Willow Glen High School.
In 1971, the 1924 building, along with many other schools in San Jose, was demolished due to their inability to meet seismic standards for earthquakes. When that came about, the school was replaced with a more modern structure. And Joan, could you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes, there was a one-story, definitely more modern structure with open classrooms, because that was the trend of the time, meaning there were not walls like we have in this room, but open. And it followed the 1933 earthquake codes.
And then in 2007, they did an addition, I think a very sensitive addition, to the front of the school. Could you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes, it is. It's quite attractive. It's a wrap around the corner building, 2 stories high, with some of the old 71 buildings still behind it. In fact, the elementary school office is one of the old buildings. And in the summer, concerts are held in the quad there, Music in the Glen. So the community uses the school as it exists today, much as they did all through the years.
And I'd like to invite all of you to contribute your stories to Willow Glen in Motion by emailing them to us on the Willow Glen e-list. We hope to gather those stories and share some of those in future episodes. Remember, history is his, her, and your stories. Thank you.